So today I wanted to talk about a simple question, elementary question that's not so elementary, right? So it's going to be the theme for the first few videos. Whenever I started a class for last decade, I asked questions like, why is zero times what's zero times any number? Everybody says zero, and I say why, and usually things get a little complicated there. And I also start with negative one times negative one is what? Everyone says positive one, and I say why. And usually I get because it is. And well, my response is that doesn't answer why. Right? We're not here to use circular logic. So why in the world is this actually the case? Right? Why is negative one times negative one positive one? All right, so let's talk about this. Right? So I want to talk about properties of the number one, and not just properties, but a very special property of the number one. And if this number on the left, right, negative one times negative one, has the same properties as, one, and those properties are unique to the number one, which means number one is the only one that has those properties, then this must be the same, right? So in other words, what I'm trying to say, in other words, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it's a duck, right? That's kind of what I'm saying. So let's take a look at it, something special with respect to one. Well, one is the unique number when added to negative one to give you zero. Okay? One is the only number when you add to negative one to give you zero. So zero in fancy math terms is called the additive identity. So we're adding, and we're adding to the number negative one, and one is the only number that has this property. And that's an axiom that the additive inverse is unique, but no big deal. We don't have to get fancy with words. Just say one is the only number that satisfies the given equality, right? So one is the only one that satisfies the equality of adding to this number one, negative one, and you get back zero. So only number one. So now I'm going to play around. I'm going to look to see if something else satisfies negative one times negative one plus negative one. Now, what's this equal to, right? Right now you can say, well, it's unclear. I was like, good. But we have some properties. We have the distributive property. A distributive property says you can factor a negative one out, and you get a negative one, plus one. So this thing is equal to this thing. Make one like that. And negative one plus one, we already discussed, is zero. So this is negative one times zero. And zero times any number is zero, and I'll make that in my next video, right? So in other words, right, negative one times negative one, which is right here. So let me remove this underline. This added to negative one gives me zero. So this number satisfies the same equality as the number one. And that equality of that number added to negative one is zero, is unique to the number one. So this must also be equal to number one. So negative one times negative one must be equal to one. And that's it. Okay, so that's it for today. And that's it for now on this video. So to summarize, I showed that negative one times negative one has the same properties as one, in that negative one times negative one, like now I'm going to say it logically, is the additive inverse to negative one, as one is additive inverse to negative one, and the additive inverse is unique. So that's a fancy way to say it, but I think not saying it fancy is a good thing too. All right, thank you very much for watching.